All right, what is going on, everybody? What is going on? Lakers final game before the All-Star break. Everybody need a break? I'm ready for a break. I'll be honest with everybody. I take a little break here. Lakers over the Mavs, 124 to 104, the final score. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll chill today. Kind of take our time. We'll slowly get through the post game show. We got a number of things that we could obviously talk about, and then we'll reflect a little bit on the first half of the season for the Lakers, even though we're well past the halfway point. Thank you very much for being here. Lakers pull out a win. They are now 12 games over 500. What is it? 33-21, I want to say, is the exact record of the Lakers now. 33-21. They get the win over the Dallas Mavericks. LeBron gets a triple-double. You have, let's see, how many guys in double figures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in double figures, 2 guys with 9 points each. It won't be a game that everybody remembers and says, do you remember that day on Thursday, February 12th, when the Lakers handed the Dallas Mavericks their 9th loss in a row? By the way, what's going on in the NBA right now? There is just this, everybody's angry at each other. There's tanking going on. The NBA they're finding teams out there. The Dallas Mavericks are like, look, we're just trying to get a really, really high draft pick. But the Lakers obviously just take care of business tonight. We'll go through everything. I'll make sure to get through everybody's comments. If you guys don't mind subscribing to the channel, would greatly appreciate that. And as always, I appreciate you guys coming here, whether you're watching live or you're watching a little bit later, and getting a chance to be a part of the post-game show. Always appreciate you guys doing that. All right, cheers to you. I'm drinking the sparkling water, so getting crazy tonight. All right, let's talk about the actual game. Like I said, whatever. I'm reading one of the comments here. Yeah, we'll come back to that. I'll start this comment. We'll come back to it. Somebody's angry for the Lakers winning. I don't know what you want me to tell you. We'll take a look at some of the comments as the show progresses, and then, of course, we'll continue to kind of chime in on different topics. All right, real quick on the game. I said this morning that this was one of those games you had to have. I mean, there's some moments in this game. I mean, the fact that it was a 1-point game at halftime, you're like, what the hell are they doing? What is going on here? Don't play with your food. But the second half, Lakers did take over this game. But this was kind of a non-negotiable. Cooper Flagg doesn't play in this game. Najee Marshall ends up playing. There was a few guys that were listed as questionable, ended up playing in the game. But for the most part, you know that the Dallas Mavericks have had no interest in. The last time the Dallas Mavericks won, I'm going to find the date of it because they were actually on a 4-game winning streak, and then Lakers played the Dallas Mavericks. This was a road game in Dallas. How long ago was this? I'm clicking on it right now. I'm just going to try to see here if I could find the date. But this was a road game in Dallas, which means the last game they won was before that. Let me see if I could actually see the date, if they put the date down here. January 24th, about 3 weeks ago. That's the last time the Dallas Mavericks won a game. Clearly for the Lakers, and this is something I mentioned a little bit earlier, this was going to be one of those games where it was so important to just get a win before you get to the All-Star break and then just move on from there, right? Whatever it looks like and however you want to describe the Lakers moving forward, you had to get this win against the Dallas Mavericks. You had to at least put yourself in a position. Lakers obviously lost the last couple of games, and they're funky. Luka out. Lakers sat out everybody against the San Antonio Spurs. They lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder, even though they were in that game, and the two stars for both teams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic, don't play. Not only did you need to win this game, but you kind of had to win comfortably. Not that you're trying to get style points, but it's more just about not having to be in a game late against the Dallas Mavericks, who now lost 9 games in a row, don't have Cooper Flagg. And the Lakers, at the end of the day, they accomplished that. Are there some stretches for the Lakers? You're saying, what the hell are they doing? Sure. But in the second half, they gave up, 22, 32, 42. They gave up 41 points in the second half. Again, that's what they're supposed to do, the Dallas Mavericks. That's exactly what should be happening in a game like this. But second half, they gave up 19 points in the third quarter and then 22 points in the fourth quarter. Watching some of these Dallas Mavericks players. I had a quick thought during the game, and I said to myself, I'm like, they never got to see what this team was going to be. Obviously, look, Nico Harrison is gone. Anthony Davis got traded. There's even been some discussion in Dallas that is there a way for Mark Cuban to get his hands back on the franchise? Doesn't sound like that's going to happen. I had a really really good reporter for the Dallas Mavericks on the show this morning. Anyways, him and I were talking, and I just say all this because Kevin Gray, all Dallas Sports, that's who was on. But I say all this because there was a second there when I was watching the game when Dallas was actually playing well and Max Christie was balling out and PJ Washington, a nice game, nice performance for him. Kind of go down the list. Of course, Klay Thompson on this team, Daniel Gafford, Lively's been injured. But there was a quick second. I'm like, damn, we never got to see if they would actually be competitive. They would be good. Their roster is not awful. I mean, if Anthony Davis was healthy and Kyrie was healthy, who knows what the Mavs would have been? But that's the big question. If you're going to trade for a guy like Anthony Davis, obviously that's the fear that you would have. But I want to get into some of these individual players for the Lakers, and then I want to just kind of spend a little bit of time talking about just overall for the Lake Show, what the big picture looks like for the Lakers. But the one player I'll just mention real quick on the Dallas Mavericks, I really, really enjoy watching Max Christie play. I just do. 19 points tonight, 7 to 12 from the field. How did Max Christie get a minus 28? I don't know how he did that, but not obviously a good stat line for him. But what a talented young player. Just a really, really nice player. So under control. He looks almost like not maybe a veteran is being a little dramatic, but just a really nice player that if there was a way that Max Christie was still a Laker, listen, they got Luka Doncic. I'll leave it at that. But damn, he's a nice player. He really, really is. So I'll just make that quick mention about Max Christie, and we don't have to worry about the rest of their lineup. But just a nice player, really, really nice player. Odd, very, very weird to see Chris Middleton on the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm surprised Middleton wasn't bought out or ended up on a different team, or if there was a way that, he could end up on a franchise that needs a player like, I'm just using as an example, the Houston Rockets. I don't know if they need to get any older. They probably don't. But just I'm surprised Chris Middleton didn't end up somewhere else. Let me get into some of the Laker players here. So LeBron ends up with a triple-double. You had a number of guys scoring double figures. I'll tell you from a team perspective, and then I'll get into LeBron here real quick. Team perspective for the Lakers, they shot 56% from the field, 32% from the three-point line, went 10 of 31 from the three-point line. 44 to 28 rebounds, really nice offensive rebounds for the Lakers, 10 offensive rebounds, and that obviously helped a lot. It's got to be really close, maybe not a team high this season, but 35 assists for the Lakers, very, very impressive for them as well, and pretty much led for most of the game. They led for 85% of the game. I want to see who had those offensive rebounds here. I'll just highlight that, and then I'll get into LeBron. Most of those offensive rebounds, who had most of them? Jackson Hayes had 4 of them, and then you had a number of other players. I think Laravia had 2. There's the rest of the players all had 1. LeBron becomes the oldest player in the history of the NBA to record a triple-double, 28 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds, 4 turnovers as well, and a block shot. Clearly, towards the end of that game, LeBron was trying to get that triple-double. So if somebody wants to say he was stat padding towards the end, yeah, he probably was. But the game wasn't in jeopardy. And by the way, he was smooth for most of the game. I mean, the 10 to 20 from the field, that was legit, the 28 points. The 12 assists, he had a ton of dimes, some really nice passes. One that stands out right out the gate was the pass he had to Jared Vanderbilt, kind of a no-look pass with his left hand. He was doing whatever he was doing. The lobby through to Jackson Hayes. He found a couple other guys. I know he found them watching the highlights right now. They're showing most of his assists here. A couple of passes to Jackson Hayes, to Vando, to Rui Hachimura, the no-look, the one that I mentioned as well. So he was kind of cooking tonight. And however you want to look at his stat line, and I'm sure there's going to be some comments here that it says, Al, he was doing this because it's Dallas and it wasn't a good team and it was blah, blah, blah. Man's 41 in a triple-double. I'm going to leave it at that. Impressive for LeBron, obviously, to be able to do that. 28 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds was his exact stat line tonight. A couple other players I'll point out. Good to see Rui being a nice rhythm tonight. 9 of 13 from the field, hit 3 threes. I think Rui's going to be such a key piece for the Lakers as the season progresses. So keep that one in mind. Jackson Hayes, 16, 7, and 4, and also had 3 steals and a block shot. Jackson Hayes, of course, we know is going to be in the dunk contest. So he's going to get a chance, obviously, to see if he can represent the Lakers in the slam dunk contest. So we'll get a chance to see him over the weekend. But like I said, 8 of 10 from the field. Ayton doesn't play. He steps up 16, 7, and 4, plus 3 steals. A really, really nice stat line for Jackson Hayes. Plus 26 in the plus minus tonight. Reeves off the bench, 18 points, 5 of 10 from the field. Kind of quiet, to be honest with you. I really didn't feel Austin Reeves' presence. Did get up to 28 minutes tonight, so he's slowly but surely starting to get more minutes. And also had 6 assists and 4 rebounds. And then you just had a number of other players contributing. Kind of an odd stat line. Luke Kennard, 9 points and 7 rebounds, had 3 assists. A couple of other guys with 9 points. Marcus Smart, 9 points. 4 of 14 from the field. 1 of 9 from the three-point line. That's kind of Marcus Smart in a nutshell. He's either hitting some shots or he can't find a way to buy a bucket. Did have 6 assists as well, so give him credit there. And LaRavia with 11. So you had a couple of different guys contributing. I like the balance of scoring for the Lakers. I like the 124. Of course, it was all led by LeBron. But at the end of the day, it's going to be tough to look at this game and give the Lakers too much credit. I mean, it's the Dallas Mavericks. They have no interest in winning. But I think big picture for the Lakers, the 12 games over 500 at this stage of, coming into the break, I do think is nice for the Lakers to have that record. And we'll see what they obviously do from here. Okay. I'm going to look at a few comments here. We'll see what some of the comments here are on this game. And then I just want to talk about where the Lakers are at this stage of the season and, where they go from here. Okay, let's see what we got here. I'm sorry, but Austin won't be getting these driving lanes in the playoffs. You saw how the Thunder defended him. Yeah, I said this before. It's always a weird conversation with Austin Reeves, I feel like, with Laker fans right now. I feel like no matter what he does, literally no matter what he does right now with the Lakers, he's kind of found himself in a position where a lot of people just don't give him credit anymore. So whether he plays well or he doesn't, people are always kind of jumping ahead. Always jumping ahead in regards to, but this isn't going to happen. And if it's playoff time and what is he going to do in the playoffs? What do you do against some of these other teams? Can we just wait and see what happens? Let's wait and see what happens. Somebody's saying, I'll use this as an example, choker in the playoffs. So we're determining Austin Reeves is a choker in the playoffs for one round against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're determining that. This is what I feel like with the Austin Reeves. Every time the conversation comes up, we're jumping so far ahead in regards to Austin Reeves that no matter what he does, I don't think people are going to give this man. I don't think people want to appreciate or respect what he's doing today. I think they're already jumping ahead. Listen, let me tell you this. If we get to the playoffs and Austin Reeves is not good, we'll have that conversation then. But I don't want to keep going back to the series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tell me who played good against Minnesota. Tell me who played good against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So let's wait and see on that. I'm not saying that you guys can't be right about it. I'm not telling you that prediction can't come to fruition. But what I'm telling you is, should we be talking about how Austin Reeves is going to do in the playoffs on February 12th? I mean, the man was having his best season and was working his way to the All-Star game before he got his injury. I agree. Listen, it's a whole different ballgame when you get to the postseason. And if you have Jaden McDaniels guarding you, or if you got some of the players from the Spurs, you got some of the players from the Oklahoma City Thunder, that ain't going to be an easy playoff matchup for Austin Reeves. And either he'll deliver and perform and learn from some of his previous mistakes, or we'll use these platforms to say, it ain't happening with Austin Reeves. And then maybe some of the question marks start coming. How much do you want to pay Austin Reeves if that's the case? My only point is, why don't we wait till the playoffs until we get to that moment to really, really start being critical about Austin Reeves' game? Guys, nobody was good in the playoffs for the Lakers. Nobody was. And I listen, this is where I will kind of lean a little bit more towards what people are saying. If he has another playoff round 2 years in a row where you're watching Austin Reeves and really kind of, and the expectations are there, then I think there's a little bit more of a, well, now let's have the conversation. Not only are you questioning Austin Reeves in the playoffs, but then you could also start saying, how much you trying to throw to Austin Reeves in the offseason as far as dollar amount goes? So I'm ready to have that conversation. I just don't want to have it on February 12th. Now, granted, I will say this. There's going to be some teams that are going to give Austin Reeves some trouble. And maybe some of those foul calls that he gets in the regular season, he's not going to get in the playoffs. So that part of it, I think that argument is fair. We'll have to wait a little bit further to see what happens. All right. And I'll just look. I'm going to read some of these here. I'll read. It's probably a good topic for tomorrow as well. Alan, just telling facts about Reeves. Stop crying about. For sure. No, for sure. For sure. Definitely crying about it. People who wait on AR bad games are probably player stands. No competent Laker fans can hate on AR. Brother, I think there's a lot of Laker fans hating on AR. A lot of Laker fans. And apparently, if you're being critical and talking about it, apparently you're crying about it. Apparently, you cannot have a back and forth conversation, because if you do, then you're crying about it. Let's get some more in here. People are hot today. Okay. I didn't expect that. I got to be honest with you. I'm okay with that. You guys want to go a couple of rounds? Let's go a couple of rounds. These games have been so boring lately. I need something like this. Reeves does it to himself in the regular season. He's dropping 50, averaging near 30. It's just a huge drop off in the playoffs. Listen, I'm going to say this to Ryan. I don't blame people for having that hesitation on Austin Reeves come the postseason. I think there's probably more Laker fans out there saying, well, prove it in the postseason. And I think people got every right to say that. And by the way, there's no guarantee that Luka, AR, and LeBron James makes any sense come postseason. They're all going to have to play unbelievable basketball to win a round or two. I think that's all safe to say. But I also think no matter what Austin Reeves does, right now, I feel like his relationship with most Laker fans is not a healthy one. That's my observation. My observation from doing post-game shows, having a lot of interaction with Laker fans, that's the pulse that I get from Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves can ball out on any given night, and people are going to say, well, he balled out because of A, B, C, D, and E. And then if he plays bad, then, everybody's coming out of nowhere saying, look, he's not that good. He's this, that, whatever the case is. That's how I feel Laker fans' relationship is with Austin Reeves right now. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just the vibe. There are a lot of times kind of the Luka vibe with some Laker fans isn't always the most positive. Who do Laker fans love right now? Is it Luke Kennard? I mean, is it Rui? It's like the guys that have the least amount of expectations are the ones that they love right now. All right, I like this. Let's get some more in here. Okay, seriously, no one was good. They weren't. Nobody was good in the playoffs. So, are we sure we're making the playoffs? Oh, yeah, that's not going to be a problem right there. Playoffs is definitely going to be there. Obviously, Lakers will make the postseason, and then it's just a question of where are they? I think they have to be. I think it's so critical that they're top 4 in the West, because I think in order to get out of that first round, I think they need home court, which is not going to guarantee you anything, but I think they need home court. And then I think they're going to need to avoid Denver probably in that first round. And, if it's Houston, then it's mano a mano, probably a coin flip, probably an edge to the Houston Rockets. And that's with the Lakers having home court. If they get Minnesota or if they get Phoenix, I'm open to one of those, two teams and saying, all right, let the best team win. And that's not a lock or a guarantee that they would win. Let's get a couple supers in here. Let's get some people that are throwing some money my way. People coming at me on a Thursday night. What's going on here? Tomorrow's Friday. Relax. We got a little time off here. We got the All-Star break coming on. Let me enjoy my sparkling water. Kennard gets up 2-3. Smart gets up 9. Damn, that's so true. Kennard has to get up more threes or get more. JJ got to get him to hoist more up by hook or by crook. Okay, a couple reasons why. Okay, let me tell you this, and you're not wrong on this. I think you're 100% right, and thank you for the super brother. I really appreciate it. But let me just kind of tell you why Marcus Smart got 9 threes up. You want to know why? Because Dallas won't guard him if he's taking threes. I'm not telling you Marcus Smart is a terrible three-point shooter, but what I'm telling you is he's not Luke Kennard. So the scouting report's going to say, get up on Luke Kennard and make sure the guy can't breathe, because if you do, he's one of the highest three-point percentage shooters of all time. Marcus Smart's not that. So there's a reason why Vando's always open in the corner, Smart's getting threes, and there's a reason why they're closing out on Rui and they're closing out on Luke Kennard. Those are the best three-point shooters for the Lakers on this team. But I'm with you. The way I'm going to assess Luke Kennard and the way I give more heat to JJ if Luke can't get some, or if Kennard can't get some open looks, assess him when everyone's back. Remember, he just got here. He's been here for a week. The trade deadline was a week ago. You need Luka, you need AR, and you need LeBron James on the floor. And Kennard's going to give you that spacing that you're looking for. And then he's also going to get more looks because there's going to be so much attention on all these other players that can produce for themselves and they can facilitate for others. Luka in any given game can have 10, 12 dimes. LeBron had 12 dimes tonight. Austin Reeves has shown that he can facilitate. So any given game, all of these guys can find a guy like Luke Kennard. But to go to your point here on the super, there is a reason why Marcus Smart got 9 threes. Now, the argument I would make is, Marcus, if you're that wide open, you're not hitting a three, stop taking threes. That's kind of absurd to have a stat line where you're 1 of 9 from the three-point line and you're not a three-point shooter. Well, stop taking threes. So that's what I would say there. All right, let's take a look at some more of these comments here. Reeves is the hardest player to judge. I'm just going to read these off here. Trade Reeves. All the Reeves hate will disappear when LeBron moving on this summer, okay? Let's see what else we have here. Let's see what we have. What really matters is can AR shooting. Don't fail him in the playoffs, all right? Any athletic wings, Reeves is in trouble. You're not wrong on that. You're really not. Listen, but by the way, he could still create. I mean, I'm watching possessions. I'm watching plays against the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's still taking the ball on Cason Wallace. He's still taking the ball on Isaiah Joe. I mean, the guy is still creating shots. But what I would tell you, if you got a long, fast, young defender, put him on Austin Reeves and take your chances. And I think teams are obviously going to do that. So that will come over time here. All right, let's kind of forward here a little bit and keep going. What current Western Conference team do you think Austin Reeves would have a good matchup? I think he struggles with all them. All right, that's a good question right there. So let me kind of go through this. Who on Denver when they're healthy is keying in on Austin Reeves? I mean, Bruce Brown isn't the same player that he used to be. Trying to just see here. Oh, they got Peyton Watson. They got Christian Brown. They got a couple of guys. Now, I give Denver. Denver's got a couple of guys that I think, can match up against him. But I also think Austin Reeves is crafty enough to where he can get some of these guys in foul trouble, especially the young players, the younger players that are not vets. The question is going to be, in what games are they blowing the whistle a lot? Are they letting them play? I think that has a lot to do with it. Houston's going to be a problem, period. That's what they're known for. They play defense. Houston's going to be an issue. The problem with the Rockets, they don't score enough, and they don't got enough guys that play offense to kind of complement what KD does. The Thunder and the Spurs each have 30 guys that can go up against any Laker player. They're built off of defense, and they also got guys that can attack, and they also got shooters. So those are not, technically are going to be good matchups. Minnesota, I mean, Minnesota losing Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think that part, Minnesota's a little bit all over the place. So I'm not 100% sure on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Phoenix got some good defenders as well. So look, I'm not telling you that, you get to the playoffs, you're going to have teams and you're going to have players. They're going to be going up against teams that the Lakers have struggled with against all year, which is teams that are above 500. So I don't know if this is an Austin Reeves problem. I think it's a problem across the board. But I get the Austin Reeves angle. Because he's going to have to be great in the playoffs. If they're going to win one round in the playoffs, he's going to have to be great. LeBron's going to have to be LeBron. Luka's going to have to be Luka. Austin Reeves is going to have to be great. You're going to need Rui. You're going to need Ayton. You're going to need all these other guys. But Reeves he's not going to have much of a, he's going to have to be great. Let me just put it that way. I could simplify this for everybody. He's not going to have much margin for error. Let's put it that way. It's a really good question. I appreciate the super there, brother. Thank you very much for the super. Okay, so JJ Redick had mentioned a couple of things during his post-game interview that I want to get into. I'm going to do that here in just a second. Let me give a quick shout out here to one of our partners, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Which game was that? Is that game on Tuesday? Is that the Spurs game? He's texting me during the game. Guy's a big Laker fan, so I'm very appreciative that, obviously he enjoys the channel. He enjoys the work that we're doing here, and I want to make sure that, obviously for him, this is good business for him as well. And so far, the year plus that we've been working together, I've known him now for 6 years. When I was on radio, I used to do commercials for him and endorsements as well. So him and I clearly have a really good relationship. But here's the one thing I will say. I hope you and a family member never need him. But things happen in life. Daunting, intimidating process. I'm sure a lot of people, if they're ever in a situation, serious injury, a wrongful death case, they don't know where to start. It can't be easy. I can tell you that he's the best in the business. I can tell you that he can help anybody in the state of California, and certainly he can help you as well. If you need an injury attorney, go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to that website, get a free consultation, and hopefully he can point you in the right direction. I'm confident that he'll be able to. Thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm for obviously being a partner here. So JJ Redick said something in the post-game show. I'll spend a little bit more time on this tomorrow when I'm doing my regular show. But I thought he made a really good point. He said, look, if you would have told me that we're going into the All-Star break, see where they are right now. Let's just look at the exact standings right now as we sit here. And what I will do is I'll actually pop this up. We could look at this together now that I think the Lakers were basically the last game before the All-Star break. I don't think there's anybody else. Nobody was playing. I think they were the latest game as well. But what he was talking about was if trying to make the comparison, if you would have told me that before the season started that the Lakers would be sitting in the number 5 spot in the Western Conference, Luka, LeBron, and AR have played a total of 10 games together. They've had some of the injuries that they've had, and they're 33-21, 12 games over 500, 5th place in the Western Conference. He would take it. I don't blame him. I agree with him. I think the Lakers have a good record. Now, if the question is their record is a lot better than they actually are, you could make that argument. If the question is, yeah, but Al, against teams over 500, look what their record is. I think probably 3-4 games below 500, something like that. If the conversation is, yeah, but if you go into a playoff series, they're going to be underdogs against most of these teams. I understand that. But if we're just basing this off of where they're sitting today, 33-21, and I like what he said about if you told me today, hypothetically, Lakers before the season started, and I told you they're 12 games over 500, they're fifth in the Western Conference. Would you take it under whatever circumstances? I'd say, yeah, I would take that. They're only, a game and a half from the number 3 spot. Yes, they're only a game and a half from the number 7 spot, but that's just that's the Western Conference. That's what comes with the West. So ultimately, for me, as I look at this Lakers team, I know they got flaws. I know they got to be excellent to win just one round in the playoffs. And I also know that, to go make a real run in the Western Conference, they're going to need a lot of luck and they're going to need this just unbelievable run. It's not going to be likely. That's a position that they're in. And I've kind of accepted that. I think that I'm not expecting them. If they win a round in the playoffs, I don't expect them to get any further, and they're not guaranteed to win one round. That's kind of what this team is right now. Now, if you put them in a 7-game set and maybe all of a sudden things just start clicking and Luka's terrific and Austin's terrific and LeBron's still playing at an unbelievable level, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But 33-21, I would take that. I think their record is good. I think their position in the West is good. And frankly, I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised that they are in the number 5 spot. They went through a stretch there where you're like, yeah, this could get ugly really, really quick. And then Austin Reeves missing a number of games. LeBron missing a good chunk of the season to start off. What he missed the first 14 games. Luka's been in and out of the lineup. So we'll see if that theme continues. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here as everybody sees the standings and where the Lakers are sitting. So you guys have an idea from that perspective. Let's see what people are saying. People still angry or they calm down? I had to kick everybody out of the bar for a second. I'm like, all right, let's get everybody out of here. I think we can beat the Spurs. Here's the one thing Spurs are going to have against them in the playoffs. They've never had a playoff run together. None of these guys. De'Aaron Fox came, towards the end of last season or at the trade deadline last year. Wemby obviously has never been in the playoffs. I think the Spurs have a really good team, and I think they could go toe-to-toe with the Oklahoma City Thunder. But they also have no experience in the postseason. So there's a little bit there of okay, well, you never know what you could see from this team or from a team that doesn't have that experience, but they're really good. And they're not good just on paper. They look good. They play defense. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Jamal has the Lakers number. You're right about that. You are definitely right about that. All right, somebody's saying that I'm pessimistic. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just trying to assess what I've seen. You know what I mean? Listen, I'm not telling you that the Lakers cannot go on a run, but I'm also trying to be realistic based off of what we've seen this season. Let me ask you this question. What is more likely? And Chris, if you're going to be optimistic about it, you should be optimistic. There's nothing wrong with that. I saw your comment here. I'm also optimistic about the Lakers advancing deep in the playoffs. Let me ask you this question. Which one's more likely, you think? The Lakers have a short run in the playoffs or a long run in the playoffs? And you could stay pessimistic or you could stay optimistic. I'm not trying to change your opinion on that. But what I would tell you is if you ask 10 people, what's more likely based off 10 Laker fans, what's more likely that happens in the playoffs based on what you've seen every single night? I watch this team every single day, right? As most of you guys do, right? It's not just me that's watching them. You guys are as well. But if I ask 10 Laker fans, what's most likely come playoff time? It's a short playoff run or it's a long playoff run. I think long playoff run would be that'd be the minority as far as the amount of people that would say that. I think the majority would say, well, if you're telling me just to pick one or the other, I would assume it's a shorter run than a longer playoff run. I could be wrong. Maybe I am being pessimistic, and I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just trying to be honest based off of what I watch every single night. So, I don't try to throw too much emotion into it. It's my job, right? It's my 10th year covering the Lakers. So there's a little bit as well that's like, okay, well, let me tell it how it is, not what I want it to be. And that's, I got to make sure that I do that with you guys as well so that you guys aren't saying, well, this guy's he's just saying what he wants to happen, or he's just trying to appease us rather than he's giving his honest opinion. And that opinion is coming from what I watch on a night in, night out basis. So hopefully that gives a little more context to it. All right, let's see what we see here. That's what pessimists say. Okay, maybe I'm pessimistic. Realistic isn't pessimistic. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. I just spoke for 3 minutes trying to explain myself, and these 3 words would have been enough to just explain what I was saying. Based on what I've seen a short run. Let's see what else. Somebody, saying here, listen, I will tell you this. There was a report that came out maybe it was a couple weeks ago. I was a little weary of the timing because it was right before the trade deadline and it felt like the Lakers weren't going to do anything. And there was an article that came out that was basically like people within the organization feel like Lakers are built for the playoffs. It was the timing of it for me that was a little bit suspect because for me, I'm like, well, of course they're going to say that because they're not going to make a trade. They want to keep the first rounder, or it's too expensive to go out there and try to grab players that they know they could use. The 3-and-D market was super expensive. It's going to cost you maybe 2 first rounders, maybe even more than that. And we know the Lakers only had 1 first rounder. But let's just say I think there's a little bit of truth to it. I do think they're built technically better for the playoffs than they are for an 82-game grind. Does that make sense? I think there's some truth to that. I think the Lakers are better off in a 7-game set where they can, they got these unbelievably great players. LeBron is one of the greatest to ever play the game. Of course, he's nowhere near the version that he was during his peak. Well, he's still LeBron James. The guy's kind of seen everything you could possibly throw at him. Maybe he's not doing something on the floor, but he can educate those around him. Luka is truly one of the best players in the world right now, and Luka's a killer in the playoffs. We've seen that before. Not yet as a Laker, but we've seen him in many years when he was doing that with the Dallas Mavericks. You get nights off after. You're not playing back-to-backs. It is less travel. There is a little bit more of a chess match than a checkers match. So, those that do think that there is some optimism here, or they do have an opportunity to make a little bit of a run based off of what you've seen so far, I don't completely disagree that they're better off in a 7-game set than they are in an 82-game grind. I think there's some truth to that. So that I think I could be sold on. All right, let me see a couple more comments here. I don't think Lakers are a serious contender, but they can be the best of that next tier. Yeah. Yeah. It almost seems like to me, if Thunder and the Spurs are that's the class of the West, and I'm not even going to pay attention to the Eastern Conference because there's no point. Lakers wouldn't face anybody until the finals anyway. So why are you even worried about the Eastern Conference? But if you're saying that OKC and San Antonio are that's the upper echelon, and I would put those 2 teams in the upper echelon, and San Antonio's already beat them 4 to 5 times this year. But if you're saying that that's the class of the league, it kind of gets, you can make an argument anywhere you want to go after that. There's just so many inconsistent teams after that. 3 through 7 is very inconsistent. Every single team 3 through 7 has been inconsistent. I still believe the 3rd best team in the West is Denver if they're healthy, but they haven't been healthy all season. And a team that hasn't been healthy all season, don't be surprised that that's going to be the theme when they get to the postseason as well. That's just kind of typically how it works. All right, let's see what else we have here. How can they hate on LeBron? He can do everything. I don't know if you've watched this show before, but plenty can hate on LeBron. Plenty can. Plenty can hate on LeBron. I got people sometimes just throwing money at my way all the time because they want to just make sure that I read their comment hating on LeBron. Yeah, the LeBron one's always interesting. Um, that the LeBron one's always interesting. That one is, some people don't like him for many reasons. Passive aggressive. Maybe they don't like his politics. Maybe they don't like that he basically runs organizations when he gets there. There are plenty of reasons why people don't like LeBron. I could see past all of that and just watch a player that's been doing it for 23 years and kick back and say, pretty damn special what we've got to see with this guy. We've been watching this man since 2004, 5, whatever year that was. I think 2004. Since 2004, he's been on our TV. By the way, that's another reason why people also hate on LeBron is they're just kind of sick of him. So that comes with the territory. I've still been able to, as best as I can, appreciate and enjoy him, but I'm also ready for the next chapter of Lakers basketball. I've said that before. Like I am. After this season, I would like to see the Lakers put all their eggs in the Luka basket and start building around Luka. I'm ready for that, and I think a lot of Laker fans are. I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. Can we give a shout out to Harris Resort SoCal? There's a link on here. When you click on the channel, there's just all the information about the channel, and I put a photo credit on whatever it is, all the details that are there. There's a link here for Harris Resort. If you're going to ever book and you want one of those staycations, you get 20% off by using our link. Now, these are weekday rates. It's very specific here, but they're doing it for the channel. Literally, the discount is, I think, Sliwa 20 or Hoops Talk 20, whatever it is. There's a link here in the profile that you can click on and get 20% off when you book a room. What I'll tell people about Harris Resort SoCal, if you're looking for a staycation, try Harris Resort SoCal. It's in a beautiful part of Southern California. You're between 1 to 2 hours wherever you are in San Diego, located out in the Palomar Mountains. Like I said, north of SD. It's really, really beautiful area. They got Hell's Kitchen, which is Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. Phenomenal. They got one of the nicest pools, a lazy river, a swim-up bar. Rita's Cantina is right outside of there as well. You get Mexican food, margaritas, all that stuff. Chill at the, obviously chill right in front of the pool there. Family, kids, whatever the case is, it's a great place to go. So if you're interested in a staycation, harrissocal.com, or click on that link in the description. Make sure you do that. Get 20% off, literally 20% off when you book a room. So shout out to Harris Resort SoCal for being one of our partners here. All right, let's get a couple more comments in here. See what we got here. By the way, what is how about the stuff with, I love how people do the ads for me. Harris Resort, your staycation awaits. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for doing that. How about what's going on in the NBA today? I'm going to do it tomorrow, but the Jazz fined $500,000. The Pacers fined $100,000. How can you determine whether teams are tanking or not? And if you're going to determine that for one team, aren't there a lot of teams tanking right now? I mean, don't you have to throw fines towards all these teams? Let me ask you this question. Brooklyn is 15-38. You don't think they're tanking right now? Indiana's 15-40. Washington's 14-39. Indiana gets fined. Brooklyn and Washington doesn't. All right, let's look at the Western Conference. The Mavs are tanking. They've lost 9 games in a row. They're 19-35. Utah gets fined $500,000. I guess they took out Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. Didn't play them in the fourth quarter. They're 18-38. You don't think the Pelicans, the Sacramento, you don't think all these teams are tanking right now? Do you know the Sacramento Kings have lost 14 games in a row? How do you pick and choose who you fine? I don't understand it. I don't know how they're going to control this. How about you just change the system? The system is clearly not working. Let's get a couple more in here. People hate on LeBron because Kobe never really took him in. Yeah, let me just say this. I'll go back to this. There's nothing to compare between the two players. They never face each other in the finals. Their legacies are their legacies. LeBron or Kobe will go down as the greatest Laker of all time, 20 years as a Los Angeles Laker, 5 NBA championships. LeBron's going to go down as one of the greatest one of the greatest players, period. And he's not going to be known from a Lakers history perspective. He's going to be known with his history with Cleveland, Miami, and the Lakers. So there's not really anything to compare between the two players. There really isn't. All right, we get a couple more in here, or we wrapping it up here? Um, I'm not expecting LeBron to be the hero. Adam Silver don't have any control of the NBA. Yeah, I got to be honest. There is a little bit of like there's a little bit of how do I put this? Yeah, the perception of the league right now not the best. You know, I you got the gambling scandal that was going on. Every other ad now, but this is the deal in sports anyways, is another one of these, you know, these apps to make bets in. Now you're saying, hey, are teams tanking? How do I know teams aren't tanking and other people are betting on them to add? What the hell do I know? There is a perception of the NBA is a little interesting right now. Not the best. Not the best. I would push my hate towards Palenka and his bad roster. Lakers should be fined 100K for their performance against the Spurs the other night. Difference is Lakers aren't trying to they're not trying to tank. All right, my people. I think we're good to go. I miss any supers here? We got them all. I think we got them all. Thank you for the supers. I appreciate that very much. Lakers lose or Lakers over the Mavs 124 to 104. So All-Star break starts tomorrow. Basically already started tonight. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So we'll get one more show in, obviously, for the week. And then we'll hit the All-Star break. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Appreciate you guys being a part of the post-game show. I don't care whether you agree or disagree. I love having the conversation. I love having the chat. Love having the comments. And I appreciate you guys being a part of the channel. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And let's see what else. Is that it? I think that's it. All right. I'll put this up as well. iHeartRadio app, all the other Spotify, everything else. We'll throw that on there. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. See you tomorrow morning.